Which champions are the best for Incursions? And in this video, you'll find out who. Yes, hello everybody, this is going to be a very structured video. That's a follow-up from my video yesterday, which is all about Incursions. Obviously, we did a little guide to that with timestamps for it. Check it out, links in the description. But as well, I'm going to be referring to a couple of other things before getting into the minutiae of this video. The first thing is this fantastic graphic here done by Murdock. She's a fantastic artist, I'd say one of the best in the community, and we'll be talking about the Twitter just in a second, but check out this information here about the extent of shards, dark artifacts and gold that one can pick up based on the amount of the grind, and as well the difference between the top zones and the milestones, something that I have missed out from some of my videos. So for more amazing stuff like this, as well as some of the most amazing art that I have seen being produced in the community, go and check out Murdock, link is in the description. And also something we're going to be referring to, and as well information gathered here, is with my co-host of the Contest Round podcast, that's Dan of Frontline MCOC, who's done an early guide. This is a fantastically written guide for anybody that wants to check out, with lots of tidbits of information that is worth indeed checking out, from the way that hacks are worked into and stuff like that, and something we're going to be referring back to as this video continues on. Now this video is going to be separated out into sections based on different types of champions, whether or not they're S-word mastery friendlies, whether or not they're heavy hitters, whether or not they've got persistent charges that can be incredibly effective, and whether or not they're a meme champion that for some reason is an absolute god when it comes to this mode. Also in this video, we're going to be referring back to that Reddit post that has all the hacks and the rare hacks that you get from the boss kills, which is going to be great, and as well comparing off against the different types of sectors as we just explained, with a pinned comment which will have all those sectors you can skip to if you want to. And for those interested in the champion list, they are as follows: big hitters, persistent charge, amazing regen, memes, surprise success, and S-word mastery friendly. Okay, let's kick things off with big hitters. We got Namor, we've got Doctor Doom, we've got Hyperion, we've got Scarlet Witch, and we've got Venom. A lot available for a lot of players at 5-star. Obviously 4-star versions will be equally as powerful, with a lot of these giving or gaining buffs like the Fury buff. Not always on all of them it applies for, but still it's incredibly relevant for the other things that we're going to talk about in a second. And that thing is pairing up. As we discussed in yesterday's video, the idea of using something quite as simple as saying, right, well, you've got buff cornucopia, buff reinforcement fury, attack surge debuff count, pyrokinesis, and maybe something else could benefit the likes of incinerate dealing champions like your Hyperions and as well your Doctor Dooms. And as well, debuff reinforcement incinerate. Now again, it's all about stat padding, it's all about buff padding and stuff like that. Because we talked about Venom a moment ago, buff cornucopia works amazingly, but also consider in your mind champions that have Fury and you know of that. As well, huge damage dealers can be like Namor and as well Scarlet Witch. Yes, it's a 4-star version, but obviously the fact is the lower down you go, the more you can utilize the champion based on buffs pinging up and as well the debuffs that the champion can put on enemies. And as well, an extra bit of advantage is that Hyperion, Scarlet Witch, and Nick Fury to a degree have obviously regeneration factored into them. So that is good in some ways, because then you're able to consider, right, well, do I need to use that regen at the end of finishing off the boss? Can I instead go, right, well, I'm full health now because I just smashed the boss and gained a load of regen. And, you know, in some cases, it's not going to be a huge amount, but it'll be enough to kind of make you consider the option of getting a rare hack instead of it being one of these kind of like lower hacks. And as well, potency increase with multipliers, not to mention buff cornucopia, and as well for any unique buffs on this champion can really improve Venom to a degree that this one is a complete slaughterhouse when it comes to going up against enemies. One of the best that Venom will be. The next type of champions is the persistent charge or persistently gaining champions. Those that go from fight to fight gathering things like buffs, combos, and obviously combos mean decent things. Morningstar with the souls, Guillotine 2099. There's so many champions to choose from this, but definitely I think it's down to these 6 to be some of the best for you to consider. Now again, same principle with Hyperion. Obviously extensive damage dealer, damage outputter is Cat Marvel movie in comparison with the Furies, mainly with this. And I would say that playing this carefully is a good thing. Going up to an SP3, heading in to get into the binary mode is probably the best. An away conversion with Indestructible will probably be better for you. And as well, being S-word mastery friendly is important, but we're going to cover other champions in the future that are like that, especially going into binary. way, you know, getting rid of that bleed from double edge. You know, it's there, that is quite good. You've also got Corvus. Corvus would be quite good with stuff like the prowess buff, especially if you're considering you're throwing off specials each time. That obviously you're hitting off great critical amounts of damage. So yes, you could look to something like that, but also you could pad around other things as well. There's a lot of armor breaks that are involved, and there isn't one for armor break, like debuff reinforcement armor break, and as well, not to mention the fact that I love the Incinerate one. I love stat padding the debuff reinforcement Incinerate with something like pyrokinesis, which is just pyrokinetics, sorry, is just such an effective kind of tool to kind of pair them together. And also sticking with the same vein as Venom, Venom the Duck obviously exists in a similar kind of way. Amplifying things like buff creation and buff potency is something that's going to be vitally important with buff cornucopia, not to mention everything else that you can have. Attribute boost multiplier is still pretty effective as a rare hack. And now quickly talking about Morningstar, she is amazing, absolutely amazing. You want to build up those souls in the first 2 to 3 zones that you go into. It's obviously, if you ask your colleague, whoever you're playing with, to kind of say like, look, I need to build up, you know, 5 souls as quickly as possible. Obviously you can synergize with a lot of different champions, but I would say because you need somewhat utility from time to time, it may not be the best thing to do. But, you know, don't take my word for it, give it a crack. I just feel that sometimes it's nice to go, look, well, let's just keep up our champions that have good nullifying, that maybe is double immunity, maybe this, maybe that. So you're kind of covering all bases if something were to go wrong, or say you might not have chosen correctly. Unfortunately, I don't have the champion at a 3 or a 4 star to showcase in this video, but Mojo would be a good option because it has persistent base charge elements to it, and as well the extent of damage output with degen and as well regeneration actually means that it's quite an effective and fun champion to have. Okay, next up, and we have got 3 amazing regen champions. One, maybe not so much, but there are some potential types of things which I think do kind of put him into this category. First and foremost is Dr. Voodoo. This is going to be one of the best champions I think to use that's got amazing regen. Starts the battle with a regeneration that is incredibly high, and as well can help out if you're having a really kind of like slaying time and it's the case you're like, okay, I'm at full health, but I really need to get back into play like a key champion. Then you can just go, right, well, I'm going to make sure that I don't get hit quite so much. I'm going to make sure that I regen as much as possible. So you've built up the health, and when you swap a champion for a champion, then let's face it, if Dr. Voodoo's up higher on health because he's sacrificed himself and kind of like built up that regen more, then you're going to be able to swap out for an equally health champion, which is going to be better for the situation. Not to mention the fact that you can amplify a lot of other things with this guy and just improve his debuff damage output. So that is going to be quite effective. Not to mention the fact that if you've got multipliers on, he's going to be fun as well. The next one, and I think one of the best ones, is going to be Blade. Blade is just going to help you out so much. And as well, when it comes to the fact he's going to be doing a lot of high-powered special attacks, like his SP2, imagine you got a bit of prowess improvement on that. Not to mention the fact if you're putting like bleed effects on, and you can also increase the potency. As you can see here, you got debuff reinforcement bleed, which improves the potency by 40%. Man, you're going to have a lot of fun with that, I must admit. And also something that goes hand in hand is debuff upgrade. Damage over time improves and increases. So look, if you really use your noggin, you use your noodle, you're able to amplify some stuff as well. Not to mention as well, just like sidewinding and talk about Dr. Doom. And Dr. Doom does shock, so increase the potency of his shock. Also, there's one that improves his heavy attacks. And as we know, doing shock, doing heavy attacks is something that's kind of important to Dr. Doom. So, you know, just take that as a side consideration. Now, why is Mr. Sinister in there? Now you're probably wondering why Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is a man for all seasons. He's got a lot of elements that I really like, but I've kind of slept on him a little bit, and I think that's a little bit wrong. You know, he can reverse, or kind of like he avoids reverse controls, and as well when it comes to blocking unblockable specials. And not to mention the fact that charging his heavy attack can vitally help out to get a precision buff, and as well pause the duration of damaging debuffs, stuns, concussions, and power leech on the opponent. So if it's a case he's got a lot of debuffs on the enemy, that can be helpful to the damage output that you can theoretically do. And yeah, he's just a little bit of a fun champion that minimizes damage that you may make a mistake, and you'll be able to keep yourself alive a little bit longer. It's a 5-star that I would like to take up, but it's not on my priority list based on other content. Now on to 3 meme champions. The first one being King Groot. I'm not kidding. This is a great champion to do incursions because you're guaranteed with an awakened version to get regeneration. My 6-star version, which is rank 1, I don't know if I'd rank 2, but the fact is it was very helpful. The champion gets Furies, the champion gets regeneration, and I think that's the key thing. Having regeneration and getting yourself back to full health just means that this champion is going to be one of those that will kind of stick through to the further parts of this particular quest. And whether or not a higher signature version, a 200 signature 5-star would be really good for this one, I do not know. Who would 565 this one? Again, I don't think anybody really would. But I'm just saying that my rank 1 version was actually pretty fun and kept me alive for a long time. The champion has Furies, the champion has armor breaks. Both things have hacks to improve it. That's the point to really mention. And yeah, I just would say it's really fun. Kamala Khan as well has Furies, and again, potency improvements can be something within there. But again, I don't know if anybody would have a higher rank version to make some fun content. Maybe a consideration for making an exclusive team that's for Incursions. And finally, Abomination. I actually found Abomination to be rather fun and rather good. The champion gets Furies, and as well that can be improved upon. Not to mention the fact that debuff improvement can be done as well, with getting poisons quite regularly, especially an awakened version being quite fun as well. Okay, and in order to keep the video's time frame down, just to go over some quick surprises. Angela, because obviously regen, Fury and armor. Crossbones has Fury and Incinerate. Colossus has armor, and obviously it's important to ramp up damage. Gamora has Fury and other buffs plus bleed. Luke Cage indestructible and does debuffs, which are non-damaging. Doc Ock, lots of positives as well. Fury, Ghost Rider, Fury, regen and more. X23, regen, bleeds and Fury. Silver Surfer buffs and more. Omega Red, regens and debuffs. Old Man Logan, bleeds and Furies plus regen. Mephisto, incinerates, regen and more. Weapon X, regen, Fury and lots more. Obviously that's a rare one. And finally, Murdock has persistent based stuff and is incredibly powerful when is ramped up as well. And now on to our final section, which is S-word friendly champions. Now, I can't factor in every single champion. I've done a pretty good video for 38 champions, or nearly 40 champions considered for this. If I did 160, I went over every single champion, you probably would get incredibly bored with this video being about an hour long. So, I've kept it to as snappy as possible, and let's continue on. You've got double immunity champions, which obviously are going to be incredibly effective. Throw SP3s, it means you're not going to recoil quite so much, or you're not going to recoil damage as you would do by throwing SP1s and SP2s. But as well, when it comes to these champions here, they're incredibly effective. Some of them gain Fury buffs, which again is something to bear in mind. Guillotine 2099 is a fantastic champion to kind of build from going from fight to fight, if you are savvy with that champion, of course. But in some ways, I kind of feel that even though that's got regen, also Black Widow Clairvoyant's got regen, and as well Warlock's got regen from his SP3, I kind of feel, for me personally, my thoughts is that Black Widow Clairvoyant, Ghost, Iceman-ish and Warlock are the best ones. I'd probably say put it right at the top there, cross between Black Widow Clairvoyant and Warlock. Just Warlock based on damage output, a little bit utility, a little bit of immunity. You know, he's got the ability to do that SP3 regen, very, very handy. But when it comes to like all of these other lovely attributes and ability improvements, it is maybe a different case. And champions that have certain things like damage over time debuffs can be vitally important. And as well, a champion that switches quite nicely, like Black Widow Clairvoyant, to be very debuff friendly against stuff like incinerates or bleeds, could be vitally important to you, doing a lot more damage than normal. And as well, not to mention like incinerates, which obviously we've got a multiplier with, and with pyrokinetics, if I said that right, that is something to consider as well. You know, Ghost ramping up all the kind of like lovely fury that she can do by kind of like charging up. I'm not quite sure with the passive side of things. The passive effect I don't think is qualified for any of these improvements when it comes to buff reinforcement, because it says fury buffs, not fury effects, or there's nothing to really kind of clear that up 100%. But still, there's so many other things that you can balance well together with this. And again, it's all about having double immunities, but at the same time, it's all about understanding not to throw SP1s and SP2s, and as well looking at champions that may be poison immune as well. But obviously, Ghost will be vitally important for hitting out a huge amount of damage in a very quick instant. However, though, I like champions that are able to stick in longer, and Black Widow Clairvoyant with the regen as well kind of feels to me that it's more of value for the further grind as far as you might go into the different zones. There we go, that has been the video. I'm going to try and get this down to a very short time frame because the raw recording of this is 1 hour long. So obviously I'm not putting out a 1 hour video because no one's going to come and watch it. But the fact is a lot of these champions are good to consider for incursions. Hopefully you understood the way and the practicality about pairing up champions correctly. We did about 40 champions, which covers the good chunk of the 160 which are currently out there for people to enjoy. If you did enjoy this video, please consider supporting it by hitting the like button, commenting down below maybe other champions that I might have missed out, and thank you very much. Check out some of the links in the description for the people mentioned. Catch up with some content I previously put on the channel over here. Also check out some supporting links and the second channel over there. Appreciate you. Thanks for supporting this video, and whoever made it to the end, you're the greatest. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye bye for now.